Hello friends, and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content. We are back again with rslash. Am I the antagonist? It's just such a good sub. I gotta get my moral catharsis on before the new week starts. So I hope that you'll join me in judging these stories, but let's keep in mind that everybody has an opinion and nobody deserves to be attacked for their opinion, so feel free to disagree with me or anybody else in the comments. But let's try not to take things too personally, shall we? With that semi-disclaimer out of the way, let's jump into these stories. Would I be the antagonist for telling my wife to stop policing my stepdaughter's weight? I've basically raised my daughter since she was 12 years old. She's been my princess considering that she only has brothers. She's always been overweight, and my wife has been policing her on it incessantly. Here's the thing though. She'll let our sons eat whatever they want. Our sons have a pretty fast metabolism, so they don't really gain a lot of noticeable weight, which is surprising, considering they basically just sit on the couch and play games all day. The life. My wife will tell our daughter that it's not that she doesn't want her to eat what her brothers are eating, it's just that she's watching out for her. It doesn't help that after my stepdaughter has eaten, her mom will basically force her onto the treadmill while her brothers veg out on the couch, eating a complete bag of chips by themselves. It's gotten to the point where I've caught my wife rummaging through our daughter's bank statements and basically shaming her for how much money she spends on food a month. Our daughter's basically a crying mess, while my wife yells at her asking her if she wants to die early of a heart attack or just putting fears in her head. It doesn't help that our daughter has pretty bad anxiety, something that she's had to recently become medicated on to help cope with. My stepdaughter has a full-time job in retail, so she's obviously on her feet a lot, and she really enjoys being outside with the dogs and doing stuff around the ranch whenever I ask her to. She's also played sports for most of high school. Meanwhile, her brothers never do the work I ask them to do, and instead just sit on the couch playing games and eating whatever trash food whatever trash food my wife has brought for them to eat. I really don't know where all of this is coming from, but my wife is horribly stubborn, and once she's latched onto an idea, she sticks to it. She also does this weird thing where she'll ask my stepdaughter if she thinks she's ugly or fat compared to her skinnier cousins who she hangs out with a lot. They're very skinny, but just like my sons, all I ever really see them doing is sitting on the couch or eating fast food. So while they're skinny, they're not necessarily the healthiest. Also, my stepdaughter will proudly show my wife clothes she bought, such as dresses, and my wife always has to say something along the lines of, "Oh, well, you'd look perfect in that if you were skinnier." And I can only listen from the other room, wondering why the fuck she thinks that's okay to say. I feel like this is something I can't really bring up because my wife will just shut me down by saying something about how it's just a girl thing. Would I be a bad guy if I told her to stop it and let our stepdaughter live in peace? Absolutely not. OP, your wife is a little bit off her rocker, I think. That is a crazy thing to say to your daughter. I mean, you say stepdaughter, so I guess it's technically her daughter, but oh my god, at least treat her like a daughter. Though I do understand, you know, it gets kind of weird with genders. Moms are always nicer to the boys and harder on the daughters because they see themselves in them, you know, and they want to fix them, and the same vice versa, you know. Men will always be harder on their sons because they want to make sure that their son grows up into a better person than they became. At least that's how I've seen it play out in my life and my family. But yeah, your wife is definitely taking this too far. I don't think it's really about what your daughter eats or doesn't eat. I think it basically comes down to some sort of insecurity that your wife has. Maybe she thinks that the size of her daughter reflects onto her in some way. And you have a good point about, you know, just because you're skinny doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy, you know. When I was in the Navy, I was, you know, pretty slim, and there was still like 300-pound dudes who could outrun me in the little mile-and-a-half PT test that they had, mostly because I was a smoker, I think. So yeah, if your daughter's getting up and out and helping out and being active, then I don't really see any reason to worry about her weight. It's shallow, it's stupid, it's only going to get worse the more somebody points it out, because it leads to the anxiety that she's medicated for, and the depression, and just a whole host of other things. Let people live, man. Can I live? That's all I'm saying. Let's see what the comments have to say. Well, here's a hot take, playing devil's advocate, I guess. Sorry, OP, but you're the antagonist because you let this go on for so long without intervention. It's a good point. Do you know how much your daughter's heart is crushed when not only her mom belittles her, but you ignore it? You need to step up and protect your daughter. Next, you tell her where to stick it and make sure you apologize to her. She needs your help, and it's your job as a parent to help her when she can't help herself. Well, that's a little bit of tough love, isn't it? I've been searching through for Everybody Sucks Here or You're the Antagonist. All you can do is sit and listen from the other room? WTF, man, step in. Ask your wife what on earth she's thinking, and tell your stepdaughter you just want her to be healthy and that she's a beautiful person who needs to not take on her mother's perception of beauty. It was a hot take after all. After rolling these comments around a bit, I'm like, yeah, I guess everybody does suck here. But I gotta stick with not the antagonist. OP might be being passive, but I can sort of understand that. You know, who wants to have a fight with their wife? Ugh. But I think there are ways to stand up without starting a fight. You know, tell her how that makes you feel, or have her consider how it makes her daughter feel. Don't come at it from a point of, like, blaming her, you know what I mean? You're doing this wrong. No, you say, this is affecting people around you, and I hope that you can see that. Anyways, that was pretty therapeutic. Let's jump into another story. Am I the antagonist for suggesting my wife to abort our child? The username just kills me. Throwaway baby. For context, I, 27 male, have always made it clear that I'm child-free. My wife, 25 female, knew it prior to our marriage and is okay with it. The thing is, while we're dating, she's always been giving me the feeling that she's on the fence, although she tells me she isn't, and that she's child-free like me. As such, I just brushed my intuition off. A year into our marriage, she got tested positive for pregnancy. I love the way that's phrased. Thinking she'll be on the same boat as me to get the child aborted, since she proclaimed she's child-free, I was in for a big surprise. She claimed that she was actually on the fence and not exactly child-free. She also mentioned how the baby's a gift from God, and we shouldn't defy God's plans by aborting a child that was planned for us. Realistically speaking, we are not capable of raising a child. Although we earn a lot, we spend a lot on luxury items. We live comfortably, and I know we will not want to give those up for the sake of a child. I also know she wants a child because she wants those Kodak moments, and not because she really wants a child. She will never wake up in the middle of the night to soothe a crying baby, and ultimately, I will be the one doing all the work. I was told by my in-laws that I'm an asshole for even harboring such a thought. But am I really? Edit 1. People asking me why I haven't gotten a vasectomy. From where I'm from, I am legally not allowed to get a vasectomy until I'm 30 years old because of the low birth rate in my country. Hope that clears it up. I have some very grave news for you, madam. It seems you've tested positive for pregnancy. I still can't get over it. Bro, OP bro, her body, her choice. You know what I mean? You got this long list of excuses of why you can't have a kid and blah, blah, blah. Even though you got the money to do it, you're just being selfish. That's really what it comes down to. But I guess you're well within your rights to be selfish if you want to. You're definitely not the antagonist for suggesting that she have an abortion, but trying to strong-arm her and force her into it, that definitely makes you an asshole. All I'm saying is, you know, maybe give being a dad a try and see how it goes. If worse comes to worse, just go out for a pack of cigarettes and never come back. You know, being a parent scared the hell out of me. I remember when my wife first told me she was pregnant, this surreal feeling came over me. You know what I mean? I'm like, holy shit. Okie dokie. It's like being at the edge of a roller coaster and you don't really know how it's gonna go. But then the roller coaster starts, and yeah, there are some moments that are scary or frustrating, but most of the time it's pretty good. I really like having that little boy around. Now I can't even imagine my life without him. And for many years I was like, oh yeah, I'm child free, blah blah blah. And my mom's like, but what if I want to be a grandmother? And it took me until I was like 30 to finally make the leap. Just give it some time, OP. Your biological clock will start ticking. It's not as strong for men as it is for women, so maybe it won't push you as hard, but eventually I'm sure you will feel the yearning. So I don't know. My verdict is not the antagonist, because it seems like you're thinking about it, just thinking about it. But once you take action against it, then yeah, my verdict changes pretty quick. I guess we'll see what the comments have to say. Top comment. No assholes here, depending. Did she betray your trust by not using birth control that she said she would use? Did you decide to leave it up to her and not use a condom? If she broke your trust, then she's definitely the asshole. But if you didn't use protection, then you were the asshole to yourself. In either case, there will be a baby. She wants to keep it. You are therefore responsible for that child. Of course, you can file for divorce, but you're still responsible. Do you want to continue the relationship? Do you want to end it? Technically, he can divorce, then give up rights to the child. I feel while it's harder for the wife, mentally it will help the child not to be around a parent who didn't want them. He can give up rights, but he'll still have to pay child support. Not the case where I'm from. If you give up rights, you no longer qualify as a parent, and don't give up child support, as now it doesn't count as your kid, and it's left to whatever parent kept the child. That's the same case in the Philippines as well. Basically, if you're not accepting support from the other person who created the child with you, then they have no rights. Which is pretty sick. It's a good system. But yeah, I have no idea what country this guy is from. I've never heard of that vasectomy law basically anywhere. Somewhere with a low birth rate? Probably Europe. Somewhere, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the guy's under 30. Obviously, he's a bit immature. Doesn't quite know what he wants. You know, he's probably not using protection and just like, yeah, it's fine. She's on birth control. There's only like a 0.001 chance. Well, bro, that's still a chance. You won the baby lottery. Good job, dude. I would say nut up and stand by your responsibilities, but if you want to run away, get the abortion, whatever. It's your life, ain't it? I mean, I hope that doesn't sound too harsh. He's 27. He knows some things, you know, but he definitely don't know it all quite yet. Although neither do I, for that matter. Having a child could be a horrible thing for you, but it sounds like you have the means to do it, and it will be a grand adventure. It's the reason that we were put here on this earth, from an evolutionary standpoint. But that's just my thought on things, you know. You do you, bro. Good luck. Anyways, let's jump into one last story, and then we'll get out of here. Am I the antagonist for calling all men Kevin? A world of Kevins. I'm the only woman in my workplace of about 50 people. Mostly, this is okay, except for the sales team. They're mostly younger men, who will turn anything into one of two things. A dick measuring contest, or a very obnoxious joke. They have jumped on the Karen meme with both feet, both hands, and a duck. The only issue is that they don't just use the name Karen to talk about someone who's behaving in that snobbish, I want to speak to your manager way. They use it for all women. Woman standing in line? Karen. Hairdresser full of women? Crowd of Karens. Older woman getting on a bus? Old Karen. Couple of female kids, looked 8 or 9 in their brownie uniform doing litter picking with a group? Little Karens. It is funny though. Resultantly, all women equal Karen, and Karen equal deserving of ridicule and mockery, and thus we have ended up at all women equal deserving of ridicule and mockery. And I ignored it at first, figuring that it wouldn't last and they'd all move on to something new, as they normally do, but it's been months, and they're still doing it. An attempt at a lighthearted conversation that I tried to have with one of them, pointing out that maybe it was problematic, got me, unsurprisingly, called a Karen. So I started calling all men Kevin whenever I'm in earshot of them, including them, and when I'm referring to them, I really go all out, like make it a really loud, nasally whine and draw out the word, especially if they're pissed off about losing a sale. Aw, is Kevin having a bad day? This apparently is a lot funnier than the Karen line, so other people have picked it up and run with it. So now sales are super pissed and telling me that I'm an a-hole. I don't think I am, and I'm planning on letting it run for maybe a week or so after they drop the Karen thing. Then I'll drop it. Am I the antagonist? Management are as useful as an underwater hairdryer, so they've done f*** all throughout all this. Job hunting is underway, but nothing so far. Edit. For info, we don't have HR. Or rather, we do, but it's a third party we've contracted it out to, and on such a cheapskate rate, pretty much all they do is handle payroll. We are an IT service provider, so we don't have customers or clients in the office most of the time, and while this sort of back and forth is tolerated as banter, anything that even hinted at a lawsuit would get me blacklisted from the industry. I am nowhere near retirement age. I can't afford that. And yeah, I will admit that I'm not a big fan of the sales team. While this is the longest running crap they've pulled, it's definitely nowhere near the most obnoxious. It sounds like y'all just got an office full of Karens and Kevins. It's wild out here, man. OP definitely the Karen for trying to strike back and do whatever because she can't handle women being called Karens. And then the sales team can't take it even though they can dish it out. So thin-skinned that they get hurt by being called a person's name. Kevin. Oh no, don't call me Kevin. What are you, stupid, bro? You're all ridiculous. Your workplace sounds like a freaking nightmare. Now OP says in the post that everybody seems to have jumped on the Kevin train and they're calling all the sales team Kevin and all this, but I don't really think that's the case, honestly. I think she's the one lady in the office that are doing it, and she's gonna lose the war. Karen has more history. Karen is inherently more funny than Kevin. At least in my opinion. But my opinion might be a little bit skewed because, you know, I'm a dude. I think it's pretty hilarious that you tried to talk to the Kevins about being called a Karen. This whole thing is so stupid. How old are you people? But as soon as you call something problematic, like, that's the best way to get shut down. Like, that's putting the blame on somebody else. The way that you get what you want is by humanizing a thing. So instead of putting the blame on the other person, you basically need to humanize the situation. And you say, you know, this is how this makes me feel. And if they aren't responding to that, then they're basically a sociopath. As long as it's conveyed in an understanding way. But anyways, let's see what the comments have to say. Here's an interesting one. That's hilarious. I love it. However, once you've made your point, you might want to tone it down before little Kevin goes crying to Karen about the mean Karen. Not the antagonist, but that won't stop the repercussions when HR does eventually get involved. If HR gets involved, what should they do to protect the company? There's disruption centered around one employee. Is it easier to deal with that employee or a large group? Sales is who brings in the money. Is it better for the company's bottom line to disrupt sales or whatever individual position you might have? Yes, I'm cynical about HR doing the right thing when they can do the easy thing. Especially a third-party cut-rate HR. I mean, that kind of circles back around to what I said. I mean, you've got one person who's fighting back, one person who's stirring the pot, and is it easier to change the pot or get rid of that one person? It's a pretty easy question. I hope you get it figured out, OP. I hope it goes well for you, but really my suggestion to everybody there is just grow up. Everybody sucks here. Please grow up. Like, oh no, they're creating a toxic work environment. I'd better get in there and make it even more toxic. What are you thinking? Find a new job. Get out of there. End of story. And speaking of getting out of there, I gotta get out of here because the little boy's awake. Now you can hear him babbling. But I do hope that you've enjoyed the episode, friends. I hope you'll like, comment, and or subscribe. Check out the Twitter, the Discord, the Patreon. And I'd like to shout out my beautiful patrons helping me to live the dream. Lady Nix, Mr. Weasel, Nico the Legend, Radimus Cisco, Dot Nathan, Damon Darkstar, and Crimson Albedo. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow, Father's Day. Which definitely means r/entitled parents. Hopefully we can find some good entitled dad stories. That'll be nice for Father's Day. But anyways, friends, I hope you join me for it. Keep yourself safe out there, and do not forget to wash your hands. I will see you in the next one, and until then, friends, bye-bye.